Purpose Soul Soothers. Welcome back to season 2 of Soothing Sessions, living in alignment, walking in faith and obedience beyond the journey. Season 1 was about healing and discovering your purpose. Season 2 is about living it, practicing it, and walking it out daily. Last session, we talked about acceptance, making peace with what is. But acceptance is only the beginning. Because once you accept God's redirection, the next step is obedience. So this session is called How to Walk in Alignment Daily, the discipline of obedience. And here's the truth I want to anchor us in. If I believe that God redirected me, then I must trust and follow him to where he is leading me. Obedience is discipline, and obedience is stewardship with what you have already been given. As always, before we begin each session, we'll start with an intention and we'll close with an affirmation. So that way your heart and soul are open to receive any and everything that God has for you in this moment. So grab your journal, grab your favorite drink, your Bible, light a candle, and let's settle into our space. Today I am drinking water. No, I'm always drinking water from my Sensual Soothers mug. Soothing souls one sip at a time. And on the back, we have affirmations of self-love, manifestation, and tranquility. So let's set the mood and then we'll begin. Before we go deeper, let's set our intention. I choose discipline over distraction. I trust divine direction in my life. I walk in obedience daily, even if it's quiet. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Alignment requires action, and obedience is the action. Let's begin. What obedience actually is. Obedience is not about performance. It's not about perfection. It's not about proving yourself to God. It's about trust. 1 Samuel 15:22 says, "Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice." That means obedience is more than grand gestures. It's more than emotional moments, more than what looks impressive. Obedience is consistency in the unseen. You can say you trust God, but obedience is where that trust becomes visible. Alignment without obedience is just intention. You can say you trust God's will, you can say you trust divine direction, but if you are not following through, then you are still trying to control that outcome in subtle ways. And here's something that I've learned along my journey. You're not being guided because you won't settle. You won't settle because you're being guided. And there's a difference. You're not forcing alignment, you're responding to it. There's a difference between striving and being led. Striving is anxious, being led is steady. When you're striving, you feel pressure, you feel urgency, you feel the need to prove something. But when you're being led, there's discipline, yes, but there's also peace underneath it because you trust that God is guiding you in your path. Obedience is steady. And if your walk feels frantic, rushed, or chaotic, that may not be obedience, that may be striving. Divine direction does not produce anxiety, it produces clarity and structure. And that's where discipline comes in. Obedience to divine direction. When I had to accept that motherhood was not a part of my alignment, that acceptance gave me peace, but obedience gave me movement. Because I believe that if God redirected my path, then I must follow him to where he's leading me. If he did not give me the desires of my heart, then that means he has a bigger purpose, a bigger plan for me. So who am I to go against God? Who am I to question God? So in that moment, I had to release what did not happen, accept what did happen, make peace with it, and then also trust that God will give me the desires of my heart, but just in another form, and accept and understand that the purpose that he has for me is so much bigger than motherhood. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, I grew up on this verse. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Notice it doesn't say direct the paths that you planned. No, he's directing the path that he has ordained over your life. And obedience is walking in that path daily. What obedience looks like in real life. In my life, obedience is not loud, it's structured. It looks like waking up every morning, first and foremost, thanking God that I woke up, that he woke me up because he did not have to do that. It looks like me doing my daily devotional. I have been doing this for Lord knows how long. And I'm also committed to reading the Bible from beginning to end this year. So every morning I pray, I do my daily devotion, I read my scriptures, I journal, I meditate. That is how I start my day. I spend my time with God before I open myself up to the world. After that, I go to the gym. I am a gym rat. I work out, if possible, 5 days a week, and then I personal train 3 times a week. So I am taking care of my mental and my physical first thing in the morning before I start my day. And also, me reading the Bible is my commitment to God, and it's also a commitment to being disciplined in my walk with God. These are all a part of my self-care routine. Again, before I open myself to the world for the day, before I get on social media, before I check emails, before I answer phone calls, I must take care of my mental and physical first. Obedience also looks like continuing to build this podcast, Soothing Sessions, and my business, Sensual Soothers, even though, or even at times when growth is slow, we don't know the state of the economy. It's a tough time for small businesses, but my obedience is telling me keep going, keep pushing, don't give up, because I live by the motto, God did not bring me this far to bring me this far. And with running a business, there are trials and tribulations, but you have to stand strong. And, this too shall pass. And just be diligent in overcoming any obstacles that come your way, because all that does is build strength. It builds character. And I am determined to keep going, to keep reaching those out there who need help with, guidance, with help with healing, help with self-love and manifesting your dreams. And I really feel, and I even feel like I know God put this podcast or gave me the vision for this podcast. There is purpose in this, because how I said in the first sessions, in season 1, this is not something that I actually plan to do. I'm more of the friend who listens versus the friend who's always talking. So this is new territory for me, but I will say the responses that I have been getting, the feedback, the messages that I've received were from strangers, people I don't even know, saying thank you for this message, thank you for this podcast, and it just reassures me that I'm on the right path, and I'm so grateful that I can help encourage and inspire you to keep going, to keep moving. And I'm really grateful that God is using me for a vessel, to do that and to spread his word. Also, obedience looks like not people pleasing no more. Stop saying yes when my spirit says no. I've always been a person that, for the people. And I am for the people, but at times I would not consider my own feelings, because I want to people please so much. But those days are over. Like I nurture the friendships and the relationships that nurture back. I'm not putting my all into something and only getting half from the other person in return. So no more people pleasing over here. And I stand on that, and I stand in that obedience, because if I'm doing the Lord's work right now, I really don't have time to people please. If I'm trying to please anybody, it's going to be God. Obedience also looks like in my life is pouring into my golden girls. Um, in my session purpose, I mentioned that I am a caretaker for two ladies. Absolutely love them. It was God's plan for us to meet and connect. They have brought me so much joy, and I have brought them so much joy. Um, and I'm just so grateful that God put us together. I mean, I could have gotten assigned anybody, but to have these two women, more so, they, as much as I help them, they're helping me, because, you know, my grandparents have passed. I actually just lost, or my, not lost, but my last grandmother just passed away the end of January. And it was very hard. And I'm actually still grieving that. So having these ladies fill that void of my grandmother's, being in heaven, it's so gratifying that God brought them into my life at the time that He brought them into my life, because who would have known that, these ladies are really just, they're just, I don't even have the words to describe it. Like, I'm from the East Coast, so being over here in LA and having family, like they're really my family here. One lady, I call her grandma. The other lady, I call her auntie, because she doesn't want to be called a grandma, even though she's older than my first lady. But they have no idea. Well, they do, because I tell them all the time how grateful I am for them. But just the connection that we have, and knowing that I am really making their later years in life just so peaceful, and bringing them joy every day, and showing them love that they probably are not getting from their own family members. And I am just grateful to God for that. Like, that's probably one of the biggest blessings that I have received in the past 2 years, especially after um, my my IVF failing, and God still giving me purpose outside of having my own physical children. And let me just say, having two elderly women is basically kids in reverse, because it's still taking them to doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning. So, things I would do with a child, I'm doing with them. So I'm not lacking anything. And I am just grateful that God chose me um, to steward them, in this season. Obedience is often invisible before it becomes impactful. James 1:22 says, "Be ye doers of the word, not hearers only." Obedience is being a doer, not just inspired, not just reflective, but active. The hard truth: sometimes we pray for clarity, but when the clarity comes, we hesitate. Disobedience doesn't always look rebellious. Sometimes it looks like procrastination, distraction, fear, comfort. Alignment requires discipline. You cannot walk in divine direction if you are constantly negotiating with it. It doesn't work like that. If God redirected you, then there's something ahead that requires your obedience now. And here's another hard truth: obedience is difficult if you haven't done the inner work, which is why season one, the journey to inner peace and purpose, is so important, Because if you don't have self-love, then you'll second guess yourself with every instruction. If you haven't surrendered, then you'll try to control every outcome. If you don't walk in faith, you'll retreat when things don't make sense. If you haven't accepted what is, then you'll resist what's next. That's why the journey was necessary. That's why the journey is important. Season one, Journey to Inner Peace and Purpose, wasn't just reflection, it was preparation. Self love builds confidence, faith builds trust, surrender builds release, acceptance builds peace, and obedience requires all four. You cannot walk boldly in obedience if you're fighting yourself internally, because obedience will stretch you. Trust me, it will have you doing things where you're like, now wait a minute, but I must obey God. Like, you must, and you must trust. Obedience will ask you to move before you're ready. It will ask you to speak when it's uncomfortable, to show up when growth is slow, to continue when no one's even clapping. If you still doubt your worth, you won't do it. If you haven't surrendered control, you won't do it. If you don't trust God deeply, you won't do it. Obedience requires emotional stability. It is for the spiritually grounded. And that grounding is why the journey matters. It is all preparation for the next thing God has for you. You got to do the work, people. You have to take care of your inner self before God can use you to carry out the divine plan He has for you. Healing wasn't the destination, it was the preparation. How to walk in alignment daily. Let me give you something practical, something to help you anchor your day before you expose yourself to the world. First and foremost, as I said before, when you wake up, before you start your day, you pray. Spend time with God. Like, you have to start your day with Him. That's just something I feel, because once you step out into the world, things happen. You don't know what's going to happen when you go out into that world. So if you anchor yourself and ground yourself in the power of the Holy Ghost before you take on what's outside of your home or whatever, once you take care of yourself first, you are equipping your mental, your spiritual, your physical, emotional, everything. You are equipped. So when you go out into the world, you are grounded, and you know that God is guiding you, God is protecting you. Like, when I'm out and about handling business, whatever, when things don't go the way that I expected, or, you know, anything that may happen, I don't even trip out, because I know God is leading me. And that's because I start my day with Him. That's because I've done the inner work. That's because I have surrendered. But when you talk to God, and I have reiterated this message so many times through the other sessions, the importance of talking to God. Like, you have to be able to hear Him. How you guys are hearing me right now, you have to be able to hear God in the same way. And when you start your day with Him, it just does something to your spirit. It's like, we all have guardian angels, but it's that feeling that I know God is right there. Like, I know He's right there. So any trial, in tribulation, obstacle, whatever may come my way, God is right here, because we already talked today. I already prayed. I already journaled. I already meditated. I read my Bible. So I know he right there. I know He's guided me. So if something happens or whatever, it was supposed to, and I don't have no control over it. So I keep going and let Him lead me. Because before the world speaks, God needs to speak first, not social media. I know people just get up and just automatically go to the social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. It's like, no. How are you just gonna start your day with the BS that's out there and not talk to God first? Not thank Him for waking you up, not thanking Him that you have a roof over your head, not thanking Him that you have food in your fridge, clothes on your back, a tub that you can shower in, a car that you can drive. It's like the minor things, like talk to God, people. That, look, that's all I'm gonna say. And watch how your life transforms when you do that. Another thing is removing all distractions that will pull away from your discipline. Like, okay, I'll say for me, I'm not really a big drinker. But I said this year I'm not drinking for real like that. If I do drink, it'll be wine, no liquor at all. Um, Even socially, if I go out, I went out for a friend's birthday event. Obviously, they had drinks, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm not drinking. And they're like, Shannon, come on, you got to at least do a toast. So I said, okay, I'll do a toast of rosé. But, they taking shots, they doing all the things, something that I probably would have done before. But I'm like, right now, in my discipline, liquor is not a part of that. And I would keep a bottle of wine in the fridge, some Sauvignon Blanc, definitely some rosé. But this year I have not had a bottle of wine in my fridge. And now I actually have no desire to drink at all, like not even wine. But I will make exceptions depending on the event or whatever. But that's just something, an example of me, something that I'm choosing to cut out, and it's not a distraction. It's just a choice that I'm making in this season, that alcohol is just not for me right now. Another thing, protect your time like it matters, because it does. Because time is the one thing that we cannot get back. So don't waste my time. Okay. You waste yours, but don't waste my time, because I can't get that time back. So I'm a real stickler on that. Time is important. I mean, the way that it's going by these days, I mean, it's Monday, you blink, then it's Friday, and then it's Monday again. I'd be like, what happened to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? So time is essential, and protect it at all costs, especially your own time. Also, walking in alignment daily looks like following through even when no one sees. The work is done in the quiet. It does not need to be posted for the world to see. It does not need to be posted on Instagram or TikTok. Hey, look at what I'm doing over here. Like, no, that doesn't matter. Do it in quiet. Do it in the quiet. Follow through, make efforts, make progressions, do what you have to do for you, because that is between you and God and no one else. So keep going, keep pushing. And lastly, ask yourself daily, is this aligned? Again, when you're out in the world and things are coming at you, ask yourself, is this aligned with my spirit? Is this aligned with the purpose that God has for me? Is this aligned with my character? Is this aligned with my business? Is this aligned with my goals, for my marriage, for my partnership, or whatever? Like, is this aligned? And if it's not, then go ahead, move that thing on over to the side. But you have to stay committed to the plan. You have to stay aligned. You have to stay disciplined in your action. You have to stay disciplined in your obedience. And when you are being led in that, when something is not aligned, your spirit is gonna shift. Like you're gonna feel it internally, and you're gonna know that that is not for me. And again, that comes with doing the work and having a relationship with God and letting Him lead you and guide you in your alignment, in your daily alignment, walking in your purpose, living with peace, and staying disciplined in your obedience. Obedience compounds small acts, daily consistency, quiet faithfulness. That is alignment. Soul Soothers, I want you to ask yourself, where is God directing me right now? What area am I hesitating? What small act of obedience am I avoiding? Alignment isn't built in one big decision, it's built in daily discipline. As we end this session, let's close with our affirmation. Let's say this out loud. I am disciplined in my alignment. I trust divine direction over distraction. I steward what I have been given with obedience and faith. Take a deep breath in and release. Thank you so much for tuning into this soothing session, How to Walk in Alignment Daily, the discipline of obedience. If this session resonated with your soul, please subscribe, like, comment, and share it with someone who is ready to move beyond their healing and ready to walk into alignment. And if you haven't already, please go back and watch or rewatch season 1, The Journey to Inner Peace and Purpose, because alignment is built on foundation. And also grab a copy of my book, Journey to Inner Peace and Purpose. It's a self-help guide to peace and purpose, and each chapter reflects each session in season 1. So make sure you get the book. I will put the link in the description. Thank you so much, Soul Soothers. I love you. I appreciate you. I am so grateful that God has given me this platform that I'm able to share my experiences and help heal the next woman or man who is on their journey of healing. So watch the first season. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to walk in our purpose. And until next time, we are here to soothe souls one session at a time.